with Event Comics, obviously you had a very successful. It's been published several places, but you mentioned Painkiller Jane, and that was incredibly successful for you. We saw TV shows out of it, movie, some other stuff I know that you guys have worked on with it. Whose idea? I know you talked about you did some things with Joe, but like, how was that conceptualized, and what was it like seeing some of that original work that you did end up creating happen like out of comic, out of print stuff with like movies and all of that?
Sure. I mean, when Joe and I were creating, we wanted to do we based the characters on people we knew. I knew a guy named Bobby Gallowitz who passed away recently, but he was a retired fireman, and he would tell us stories, and these were people we knew, and we thought, we're in New York. We figured, who are the heroes we know? Well, they're usually the cops and the firemen, obviously, and we tend to go towards the ones that we know, which are very honest, and
Right.
very great people, inspiring people. So with Ash, we thought fireman superhero. Hasn't been done. It's so obvious. Like, you already call fireman a superhero, in a way. So it was so obvious. And then with Painkiller Jane, we wanted to do something a little. A lot of the female characters coming out at that time were very, very, I want to say, busty. And so we wanted to make Jane like a female cop and a little more athletic body. And that's why we had like Rick Leonardi doing the book, because he knew how to draw that lean, mean character. But we also wanted to give the character Jane an attitude that that we knew, the women we knew were tough and ready and rugged. And, Jane is a mix of all the women we knew, including my mom and Joe's mom and the girls we know, because they were formidable, and we tried to put that into the character, and we modeled it after some people, but we both came up with stuff. The great thing about working with Joe is we bounced ideas back and forth, and if it sounded terrible, we would just say that sucks, and then if something sounded good, we did it. And then, of course, watching a TV show, seeing a sci-fi movie with your characters, it's always a mixed blessing, because as much as we're involved, they still do what they want.
Yeah.
And what happens in Hollywood is a lot, and we know this, is they love the comic. We want the comic. We love everything about the comics. We want the rights. Okay, we got the rights. Let's change everything about the comic. And so Sci-Fi decided it should be a sci-fi show, a science fiction theme, fighting these characters, and I was happy with who they chose, because Kristana and I became friends. Kristana Loken and I became friends. I was happy with her, but I kept telling her, make your hair red, will you? Come on, it won't kill you. So it's like a mixed blessing. But I did get to go on the set, and I did write one episode called The League. It was the 13th episode, and I got all these credits. And as much as, even though when they mess with stuff, you realize at the end of the day, your comic still is exactly the same.
At least that's not changed.
So they're not messing with my comic.
Yeah.
I don't mess with their film. It's kind of an even exchange. I'm hoping currently I have a screenplay that I wrote with Craig Whedon on Jane that was shopping. That if that gets made, that'll be pretty accurate to what we did. So, but it took me a while to get there. I went to school for screenwriting, and I did all this stuff to get to that spot. And a lot of things that people know now about the business, I had to learn
the hard
along
way.
the way. So,
Yeah.
I'm happy to share them with people now.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to head over to Rippaverse.com to check out our comic book company. We have books, plenty of merchandise, and even some glorious animations from Rippaverse Studios. Next up, possibly our most anticipated book thus far, Yaira.